So this is what it's all about, baby. It's Saturday morning, June 6th, I think. Expecting a beautiful day today, pretty cool by the lake. Kind of a northeast wind, but came out to either work on the boat or sail, and it's hard to pass up a morning like this for sailing. So we're making about 6.5 knots. 13 knots apparent wind, so probably 8 or 10, maybe 12. Sail trim looks great. Made some breakfast on the boat this morning before I took off, and single-handed, letting the boat do some work right now, and just having a great sail out on the lake. Water's pretty flat, a little bit of rolling wave in it, but not much at all, less than a foot. Boat's handling well. Didn't roll out quite all the jib, although I think I'm very close to having it all out. And maybe we'll go ahead and take it all out since we're this close. Wanted to wait and see what the wind was going to do first, but anyway, it's a beautiful morning for a sail. Got to be back this afternoon for a graduation party of the neighbors, but I'm going to have an enjoyable sail while I can. More later. Letting the boat do all the work today, so I don't even have to be at the helm. Winds are fairly steady and not overpowering, so the autopilot's doing a pretty nice job. And if I get bored, I can always take the wheel. We're still making some good time. 5.5 knots or so. The wind's died down just a little bit, and there's a little bit more roll to the lake. Not bad, just a little roll. We are getting ready to pass the Gary Beacon, we call it. Sitting over there. It's the mouth of some inlet, harbor, commercial place. It's about 5 miles from the marina to that gong or beacon. Chart plotter shows we're going 5.5 knots, 44 feet of water. Water temp's about 56 or 7 degrees. I think it cooled off with the north wind a bit. Sooner or later, we're going to have to throw in a tack, either turn around or tack out towards the middle of the lake. I put in Michigan City in the chart plotter, says we'd get there about 240 right now, but we definitely would have to tack to do that, and we don't have that much time. Autopilot's still steering the boat. The other thing I got done today was our radio has a distress system on it, which would broadcast our position if we hit the distress button. And for some reason, it wasn't picking up the GPS coordinates. So I played around with the menu a bit, and I got that, so it now shows our position on the radio, and if we were to hit the distress call, it would transmit our location with the distress call to the Coast Guard. Still can't get the AIS working correctly on the nav, on the chart plotter. I don't quite understand how to make that work. I think the radio picks up an AIS signal, I think. And you're supposed to be able to output it to a chart plotter or something, but I can't get them to talk to one another, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe the radio doesn't even have it, but I thought it did. It doesn't show up on the, doesn't really show up on the radio either. So it could be that there's no AIS equipped vessels around, I suppose. I don't see anything in eyesight. So maybe that explains why we don't see it on the radio. And I'm just not sure that I've got a communication between the radio and the chart plotter to display the AIS on the chart plotter. So I'll keep working with that. The other project for today was going to be to try to drain the water heater, take out the drain valve so I could try to really clean it out. And then I need to get some vinegar and put a mixture of vinegar and water in the water heater and flush that out. But I decided to sail instead of working this morning on the boat, so didn't get the water heater fixed. Did make a nice breakfast of scrambled eggs and ham before I left, so I should be good for a while. Don't have anything else to eat much on the boat except an open bag of pretzels. So anyway, more later. Alright, so I'm going to put in a tack now. We're getting into a little bit shallower water. Went from 40 feet to 20 feet and less. So we're out by the Gary beaches. And I'm going to go ahead and tack out towards the lake. Try that. Might need to ease that main out a little bit, but let's see how that does. Be a little choppier this way. Decided to try to sail from where we tacked out by the Gary beaches and head out for a buoy that's about 5 miles offshore. It's a little bit more difficult tack right now. We're getting buffeted around quite a bit. The waves, the wind's picked up a little bit. making 5.5 knots. But the waves are slowing us down a bit, I think. We got more wind than we had before, but we're not going as fast. I was able to put the buoy in the chart plotter, so it gave us a heading that we need to shoot for, which I'm trying to do. And a distance right now of 3.25 miles. And we should get there at 12:08. It's currently 11:30. And then from there, we will tack and go downwind towards the marina and hopefully be in by 1:30 or so. So that's kind of our plan right now. You can see the buoy marked on the chart plotter. We're doing a little over 5 knots most of the time. We need to be on a bearing of 326. We're on a bearing of 327 or so, bouncing around a little bit right now. We're showing 14 knots of wind. That's apparent wind. Was as high as 16 for a little while. And depending on what you believe, this knot meter says we're making a little over 6 knots. Usually they're pretty close. This one's a paddle wheel measuring our water speed. This one is a GPS speed over ground. This one's probably a little more sensitive, I would guess, to us hitting the waves and adjusting the speed and all that kind of stuff. So as you can see, it's a little bit choppy. Not breaking waves, just rolling waves that are splashing us around a bit. So we're a little over 3 miles out from the buoy. Hopefully we can make it. And then we'll go on a downwind tack back towards the marina. It's not a bad day out though. Haven't seen one other boat other than some fishing boats at the marina. But it is a little bit like a bucking bronco out here. So more later. Well, we're getting close to the buoy. We had to throw in a tack. And even then, I don't think we're going to actually go around the buoy. You can see it out there in the distance. But we'd have to be pinched up even closer to the wind to make that. And I don't think we're going to do it. But we'll get close to it. We're about just under a mile away. And we're really pinched up pretty tight to the wind. Trying to make that angle. I don't think we'll quite make it, but we'll get close enough to spit on it, and then we'll make a run for home. So it's taking longer than I thought. It's 12:30 now, and we probably won't make this last mile until 12:50. Almost 1 o'clock, and then we'll have to make a run for home. So I don't know what time that'll be, but the goal was try to be at the house at 3 o'clock. I'm not sure if we'll make it or not, but we'll be close, I guess. It's pretty choppy, headed in this direction. Got a fair amount of wind. It's reading 16 on the apparent wind, 17. It's just we're not at a great angle right now. We're pinched up way too close trying to make that buoy marker. So we're only going 4.5 knots or so. So far we've traveled 19 nautical miles based on that distance log. Coast Guard Lake Michigan at 10:39 local. The Coast Guard has received a report of a yellow kayak unmated and adrift
1,500 yards east of the 4-mile crib light. Mariners requested to assist if possible and make reports to the nearest Coast Guard unit. This Coast Guard, Central Lake, Michigan, out.
Coast Guard's been calling a distress message. They found a kayak floating, I don't know, a couple miles offshore or so. Empty, nobody around. So they're just asking people to keep their eyes open, I guess. They don't know for sure if it just drifted out there or if somebody came off the kayak out there, I guess. So, but it's over far away from us, nowhere close. All right, well, we're gonna try to get close to that buoy and then we're gonna make a run for home. More later. Well, I was trying to make it to that red buoy out there. I don't know if you can see it. In a little bit. I misjudged my angle a little bit. The winds are blowing us to port. So it's off on our right. I'm going to try to get about even with it. Call that good enough. And then hopefully we can make a downwind run home. I was debating, trying to figure out when I tacked back to the starboard side how far I had to go, and it seemed like I was just going way out of my way. So in my mind, I calculated I needed to be I had to be able to make an angle back at 290 degrees compass bearing. It just seemed like I was going way out of the way. So I cut it about, I cut the tack short. And sure enough, 290 probably would have done it if I made it all that way, but I didn't. So when I came back on this tack, about the closest I can pinch up and keep up any speed is 290 degrees compass head. So I didn't quite make it around the buoy like I wanted to, but got as soon as it gets off my starboard side directly, I'll make the turn and start running home. Hopefully the downwind leg will be a decent angle. I don't know yet. Hopefully it will. So we're about a quarter of a mile from it. We won't pass right around it, unfortunately, but there she is. 900 feet away, missed it by about that much. But it's a pretty rough tack right now. We're making okay speed, 5.5 knots, but as you can see, we got quite a bit of heel going on. It's about 16 apparent. And it's getting choppier out here. I'm almost at the point where I believe we're getting farther away from it. Can turn. I'm going to do a jibe, so I need to get ready for that. Make sure that we do it safely and controlled. And then we'll run it down the leg and see how we do. So we made the jibe. Now we're going to the downwind tack. Still showing 14 knots apparent, so we must have had a pretty good blow going there. We're going 6 knots downwind. Well, now it's down to 12. So anyway, we're on the downwind leg. It's a lot less bumpy, certainly warmer, and we'll see if we can plan this right so we can come in without hitting the seawall out there by the steel mill. Gotta keep an eye out for that. Right now, projected ETA back in the marina is 1:45. So I can still make my 3 o'clock thing if I want. I'm gonna rig up a preventer right now just so that boom can't come swinging across if we accidentally jibe. So I rigged up the preventer. Just that line right there at the end of the boom, and it goes down to the tow rail, so I can keep the boom from whipping across if we happen to get a jibe situation by accident. It's just a safety precaution. Something bad doesn't happen. So the only problem with the downwind tack with this wavy seas is it does kind of throw the back of the boat up and down a bit. We're not chopping through the waves like we were before, but certainly have some following seas which pushes around a bit. You can see the city out there. City of Chicago, downtown in the loop. Clouds and the haze. Autopilot's doing a good job keeping us pretty close on course. We're 6 knots downwind. We're going to have to probably adjust a little bit to port just to miss the steel mill out there. It juts out about 2 miles out into the lake. And I think we need to be a little careful that we don't get too close to the wall out there. But we are making our way home. ETA, like I said, about 1:45. More later. Well, the reason we have a preventer is so that if something goes haywire, you don't have a big accident that can damage your sail or your rigging or your boom. But right after I shut the camera off, I was just kind of sitting up in that perch seat there, and all of a sudden the boat veered to starboard, and the little latch for the autopilot engagement came off. And so the boat was pretty much just doing its own thing, and I don't think we would have jibed because it turned up towards the wind, but that's a good reason to have a preventer. I've watched it here for a few minutes, and maybe I just didn't have it all the way locked in engaged mode, but it seems to be doing okay. I got to run down below and check one thing while we're sailing and making 6 knots, 6.5 knots. I want to verify that the prop shaft is turning freely. I have the transmission in neutral. So the prop should be spinning freely, and I just want to verify that that's the case. And the music ran out on the iPod, so I want to put on a fresh playlist. So hopefully the boat stays engaged, and we'll be okay. So let's run down and check the prop. Not sure if you'll be able to see this. I'm not sure I'll be able to see this. Bear with me. Alright, well, it's hard to see, but the shaft is spinning in there, which is what I wanted to make sure. I figured it had to be. We're going pretty fast, and It looked like it was turning freely, so check the iPod, put on a fresh playlist, and then get back up there and watch. We'll put the camera down. Alright, music's back on. There's the city. Autopilot's doing its job. Didn't disengage while I was down below. Good. We're going to be real close to the seawall, but I think we're probably okay. I'm going to go back to the helm and keep a close eye on where we're headed, but I think we're going to be okay. Great day for a sail today. A little choppy and a little cold, but not too bad. There's a sailboat out there. I wonder if Mike ever came out. He said he was thinking about it today. Not sure if that's him or not out there.